Alright, let's get this thing ripping here. So running this one today. Inside the animal's mind. I just finished out the first chapter here a little bit. Had to do a lot with history, got into Darwin and a bunch of other ones down there, and some really cool article reads inside of there. A few good quotes in there that I'll be using. Stuff about how dogs are machines and how you nail them to a board and people's disassociation against the Catholic Church and dealing with farming standards of whether animals are real or not and have to actually do this. Well, let's get in here. What exactly is anthropomorphism in here? Well, clearly we have a business standard. We have a human inside here that deals with these animals in a cage, and for the most part they do. These are ground terrestrial spiders, they're arboreal, they're not going to go out there much, and as long as you're satisfying those standards for business ethics, you would get a lot of the standards. But do you fully understand this consciousness that goes beyond this standard? Anthropomorphism is this way that we perceive our human tendencies on things like animals, spiders. Do they feel fear? Do they feel consciousness? Do they feel love? Does an eagle in the sky flying actually feel joy? Or is this a hunting mechanism to them, much when we feel hunting mechanisms in there? Sitting in a tree stand can be quite liberating and freeing, but when it comes time that these events, rabbit on the ground as what it is, that we might share, would come to the same conclusions, that the way that rabbit will think, how you pounce on it or pull the trigger on it or let the arrow fly for, is something that we are going to share in common. Well, we have very different states of when we perceive those things, why we perceive them, but to an X prime defined model. You'll read that many mathematicians are part of this, Darwinism, and some other names inside of here. What do we got? George Page, I guess is what it is. Many stories. Oh, that heartbreaking story about a dog in that intro, taking it, getting it boarded and stuff. Pretty sure that boarding kennel killed that dog. You know, I'm not going to say it died of a broken heart or it didn't, but to that certain degree, you know, you have to look at that and go, boarding collies back in the day. But anyway, is that what they felt to the situation? Is there any way you can prove it? An autopsy after the effect of a healthy dog's heart that just stops? I'm going to call bullshit. Me, I'm going to call bullshit. But let's take this statement of nailing some dogs to the table over here about business standards and how you perceive the business model on what these are for things like business, or the people amongst those business. Do you truly associate them as people, or are they cattle to you? Is this an aspect of if cattle? Is it proper to the notation of a good life on that farm for the farmer in that situation? Did it expend its usefulness as far as its lifespan, or how it's perceived in here? And this is something, given the church, that you have to consider here. It's one thing to say that it's not a creature while you're raiding wars and having these ideas. Did those cultures not idealize as human? It's a good book. It's got some issues that I haven't quite gotten that far into it, to the nature of man here, or the difference between man and animals, about what this is, but it's something I certainly want you to consider while having these dangerous subject matters behind glass. You know, we can definitely observe them. Mice in science can be treated well while still being done to the conditions, cows, people, or otherwise, and it's something we need to take a little bit more state into here. If we're nice to them, maybe those animals won't be so retributive to us in these standards. If you get in there and you're yelling right at this little tiny animal on scales of the human system, well, maybe they'll find it dangerous to a certain idea. And maybe they won't produce maybe they won't live as well. Maybe they won't eat correctly any longer, much like humans do in captivity at times. These are things that we are going to have to take a little bit more state into. And if the scientific analogs are correct by these standards, how did we catch these? How did we achieve Darwinism's model inside of here? Are we really think about conditions? If Darwin truly was a vegetarian, does that apply to the states of matter as we perceive them today? Definitely worth the subject. Catch you on the next one.